Mr. Secretary, thank you.
For what?
Well, we'll find out, won't we? I think we're onto some big stuff here, but I wanted to make this simile in that you have had many titles in your long history of service, Lieutenant, Senator, Secretary of State, but now with being appointed the Special Presidential Envoy on Climate, this acronym, SPEC SPEC, it sounds almost exactly like something from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think Sam Jackson would very much approve.
How could it be more appropriate? I mean, I am coming to Tony Stark to save the world. It's that simple. Here it is.
How did you get a call for that? What happens? You pick up the phone, etc. What's the story?
Well, I was at home and phone rang. I think it was a Friday afternoon. And the president-elect, who is a good friend and who we've spent a lot of time together through the years, and before I can even say congratulations, a great job, he says, look, I want you to take on a special task. And here's what it is, and laid it out very precisely with great detail about what he wanted it to be and what he thought it could be and what he was willing to put behind it in order to make it that. And he was very clear. He said, look, you report to me. That's it. This is directly to me, and I want to make the difference that we need to make on climate. And I'm going to have a whole, structure within the administration that's going to be deeply committed to climate. And he's followed through on that, because you've seen the appointments of somebody in the White House coordinating domestically. We've got the whole economic front covered. I'm very excited about the possibilities of what we can produce.
How do we deconstruct just that word climate? Because I sometimes feel like I'm automatically turned off because there's a lot of people and professors, and science isn't always 100% right. And you're telling me that there's a lot of bad news and it's my fault.
That's a great question. It's the exact place to start. I've been through this long enough that I understand all of the shortcomings of the language and the politics, and it gets difficult. And a lot of people just turn off. I mean, you say climate change and they go, I don't want to even listen to that. It's a lot of bunk. It's whatever. The challenge is in sort of changing the language we're using to talk about it a little bit, I think. I view the climate, I believe it's a crisis, and I legitimately believe it's a crisis. I think you do. Not everybody does.
Yeah.
But that's their privilege. But I think when you look at it, you begin to understand this, as the Chinese proverb says, I mean, crisis is opportunity. And I see enormous opportunity here, enormous opportunity for more jobs, better jobs, for incredible leadership by America in technology that keeps us ahead on the technology curve as we do the R&D and the discoveries necessary to provide some of the solutions. And then finally, better paying jobs, I might say. I mean, before COVID-19, the fastest growing job in America, Robert, was solar power technician. The second fastest growing job was wind turbine technician. So the marketplace, which is quintessentially American, well, the market is now telling people what to do, because the market has factored in the science. And they're saying, the people who make decisions for big companies, Coca-Cola, Apple, Google, whatever it is, see this coming. They know, they've made a judgment about the science. Now, you asked a really good question. How do you decide that you're going to respond to it or take it in and listen to it? Well, look, most of the people listening to this right now buy health insurance, if they can. They have car insurance. It's not clear you're going to crash. You're not planning to, but there's a possibility you may well crash. Your house is insured against fire. You're not going to light the fire, and you hope it doesn't burn down, but some do, and you're covered. So, I mean, there are plenty of things we insure ourselves against in life. But climate, where you have thousands of scientists telling you that the preponderance of the evidence, the massive evidence, convinces them beyond a doubt, the standard we use in criminal cases in court, I'm a lawyer, I used to prosecute. You have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Well, beyond a reasonable doubt, it is clear human beings are contributing to the climate change and crisis. So, a simple question: why aren't we buying insurance? Why aren't we doing the things necessary to prevent the worst consequences, which are catastrophic? And even if we did all the things we need to do, i.e., go to clean energy, be sustainable, all those things, let's assume we do all those things. What's the worst thing if we're wrong? We'll have less cancer because we'll have less particulates in the air. We'll have cleaned up the air. We'll have actually gotten rid of pollution. People will be healthier. You will not have $55 billion spent every summer to hospitalize children who are victims of environmentally induced asthma. We will not have to send troops of America to go to a far off country to fight to defend our source of energy. I mean, think about all the things that will happen if we do this. Yeah. We're better off, better life, better economy. And so I just think this is such an upside in the aftermath of COVID. I think this is the way you build back the American economy, and you get 20 times, 30, who knows how many times stronger as a result.
You have done a lot with your life. There's many other ways you can contribute. Why did you not refuse the call?
Well, I mean, what a privilege to be able to work on one of the biggest challenges the entire planet faces. I mean, this is stepping up to put every resource at our disposal with confidence in our ability to get the job done. We have Glasgow. I'll explain it for people who don't know what happened.
Yeah, please,
every year since 1992, when there was the first meeting of the planet of nations on the subject of climate, every 2 years there's been a meeting under the auspices of the UN. And we now have the 26th meeting. But this meeting in Glasgow next November is bringing all the nations together that met in Paris by prior agreement to judge what have we done? Have we gotten where we need to be? Are we moving fast enough? And then to raise ambition as a group to decide, here's what we need to do better. That is what has to happen at Glasgow, Robert. We have to do better. We're not getting the job done.
There's also a youth summit previous to that, I believe, right? Which sounds really exciting. I think in Milan, ahead of Glasgow. My God. I want to talk a little bit about World War Zero. Are you a fan of zombie apocalypse films, or was that?
Well, they're fun. They're the right mood. Right. Depends where you are in your day.
This sets the table nicely, doesn't it? Where did the World War Zero?
Well, because I'll tell you why. Okay. Why is it World War Zero? When I first heard the word World War Zero, as a veteran of Vietnam, I really reacted, oh my God, no, I don't want anything to do with war. And I thought people would react negatively at first, but we tested it and we found that people actually did react. Yeah, I can buy into that. I get it. Once you explain it to people, people get it. It's very simple. No one country can solve the problem of climate crisis alone. It takes the whole world.
I love it because it just sounds cool.
Out of the race to deal with climate will come remarkable things that will improve life on Earth. I'll give you an example. Hydrogen. If we can get green hydrogen where we're making it without using massive amount of energy that's dirty energy to create it, so it kind of negates the effect. But if you can create it clean, hydrogen burns clean. We have trucks and cars running on the roads of the world today that are hydrogen fueled. This is not a pipe dream.
Just so you know a little bit about how I'm hoping to plug into this big play you're making as the Footprint Coalition, as we are entrepreneurs, scientists, inventors, many of us are in entertainment, investors, donors, and our main thing is that we want to try to create content that is digestible in a way that's commensurate with the information age, and we're looking for partnerships. There's a company called New Harvest. It's a research hub for cellular agriculture. And we gave them a grant just to write out their safety protocol papers. It's really difficult to get models in these new fields the funding they need to do stuff like this. So again, it's like you make a movie, and I'm sure the same thing in Washington. There's so many people who never get in front of the mic and never are known by name or face, and they are the crew that is getting this done.
No, it's true. And but let me ask you, with respect to footprint, I mean, and thank you for doing what you're doing. It's fantastic. What are your steps now that we have a new administration and sort of a new moment?
Well, to be honest, you were my first call. I was speaking with Governor Cuomo yesterday. I'll probably reach out to Governor Newsom. And look, there's all the ways that we just want to fit into the highest good and try to help, like I was saying, do some of the storytelling along with this in our own small way. In some ways, we're just trying to look where in the puzzle is there a missing piece and how can we try to fit it in? Kind of like worker bees, to be honest.
Well, it's cool. And I hope we can find ways to work together, Robert. It'd be great to do that. What's your judgment about what is going to make the difference to people? I mean, and why do you think people are resisting? I mean, what's your take on that?
I like what I've heard you say before is we need to demonstrate some wins where people can see this is real. This isn't politicians and celebrities and big business and big money institutions talking about all the great halo they want to put around themselves while they continue business as usual. So I guess the resistance is in a time that seems so biblical in wars and rumors of war and everything, the truth is not the truth and all news is fake and all that stuff. Show me something that demonstrates that your hands are where your heart is. But then just that big thinking to be able to say, we're doing it and here's how it's going to create a lot of jobs.
Robert, why do you think that some people have been willing to accept this denialism? I mean, there's a basic denial that goes on.
I think it comes down to belief structures. What do you believe and what do you expect? What has your life told you is and isn't probable to expect? And look, I remember give a hoot, don't pollute. I remember the first wave of when, LA, I came out from the East Coast and LA had this blanket of orange smog over it and it seemed like it got cleaned up a little bit. So I think we put ourselves under the impression that we'd sort of handled it, but then we missed this whole next wave.
We spent in America, the American taxpayer, that's all the people who may deny this happening, spent $265 billion just to clean up after 3 storms. After Irma, which had the first winds that are sustained at 185 miles an hour for 24 hours, 185 miles an hour for 24 hours. Then you had Houston, which suffered Hurricane Harvey. 5 days of rain that dropped more rain on Houston in 5 days than goes over Niagara Falls in an entire year. I mean, it's an extraordinary amount of water. And then you had Maria, which ravaged Puerto Rico, from which it's still trying to recover. So 3 storms, $265 billion. But I'll tell you this, if a congressman or senator stood up today and said, let's put $5 billion into dealing with climate, you would not get the money. The history of our economy and the history of the United States is this incredible journey constantly moving into a whole new economic realm. The cotton gin, the train, the steam engine, run the list, right? All the way to rockets and moon, and now AI and super quantum computing and so forth. We haven't begun to see, I think, the kinds of products that are going to change life for the better and move us. So I'm very confident about our capacity to do this, providing we kind of get the politics out of it and we come together. Reasonable people, right, left, Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative. Let's just deal with reality, and I think we can. I really believe we can meet the challenge. Anyway, Footprint Coalition would love to work, and World War Zero would love to work with you guys, and we'll try to get something cooking.
All right.
Take care, my friend. Happy New Year to you.
To all of us.
To all of us. Bye-bye. Thanks.